she's like, you're not getting on this flight unless someone gives up their seat.
I was like, what did he say? He must have said something wild to get thrown out of this game before the first snap. But then seeing the replay, you can't spit on a man like that.
Really, really awful game by Arch. I think I texted you right after the first throw that he had where he literally threw it into the ground.
Liverpool leaving it really, really late of a Dominic Szoboszlai free kick, which was an absolutely incredible free kick. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the From the Stands podcast. We are back for episode number 78 on this September 5th in the year 2025. So we are back. We are now in football season. We got college football going down. We got NFL football going down. We got the OG football going down now. So we are back at it again. So we have plenty of games to recap, plenty of stories to bring you guys and to talk about and everything. So very, very excited about all of the happenings going on in these first couple of weeks here. So we'll get into all of that in just a second. But before we get into that, Fezzy Boy, with a little bit of a refreshed background there, retiring your own jerseys there, I see.
Yes, sir.
That nice little backdrop and everything. What's been going on in your neck of the woods here?
Sammy boy, dude, I feel like we haven't talked in forever. Like this past weekend felt like a whole nother week. It literally feels like we haven't podcasted in 2 weeks, but it's only been a week. So I digress. Like Sam said, yeah, I do have a background going on. These are my two high school jerseys. Figured I'd throw those up. They look pretty sweet. Found some frames at Hobby Lobby, so we're rocking it.
Nice to let you keep those. Usually they like recycle them for the next group of kids or whatever.
I know, yeah. Apparently our athletic director's getting all new jerseys. So when I was home, we went to play basketball at my old school and there were just boxes everywhere. And I was like, what's going on here? They're like, oh yeah, they're getting rid of all our old jerseys. I was like, dude, heck yeah. So I grabbed the yellow one's my soccer jersey and the other one's obviously my basketball jersey. So I was able to get those, which is pretty lit. But anyways, yeah, like I said, it felt like forever since I've talked to you. This past weekend, went back home.
Literally just a week.
I know, dude, just a week. But this past weekend, I went back home with my family to go back and celebrate Owen's first birthday with both of our families. But that is not what made it feel long. Like everything went well. The party went well. Being home was great, dude.
Sounds like you played some ball.
I did play a little ball. It was fun. But no, dude. So we were flying out of Charlotte. So we woke up Saturday morning, drove all the way to Charlotte. We were running a little behind. So we were just like, all right, bro. Like we weren't like freaking out. We were going to miss our flight, but we were like, we might be cutting it close, which is never a good feeling. Anyways, we get there. And so we had to park the car because no one took us. But the lot where you park like daily, you leave it for a daily amount of time, was closed. So we had to do a reservation. So we drove up and they told us that. So we drove around. My wife got a reservation. It ended up being the wrong one. So we had to drive around again, got the right reservation. And at this point, we're like sweating. We're like, holy cow, we got to get in. And so we go in and we park the car and we hop on a shuttle and the shuttle breaks down. And I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I'm looking at my wife. I'm like, we're not going to make our flight. So like, it was probably like a good 5-10 minutes. And then finally the shuttle gets going. We're like, all right, we're good. We get to the terminal and we check our bag and everything. And I'm walking through TSA and I give him my ID and what I thought was my boarding pass. He's like, this isn't a boarding pass, but I didn't think anything of it. Cause mind you, we're like sweating bullets. We're like, we got to get to our gate. We got to get to our gate.
You print your boarding pass, my guy?
No, my wife checked me in, but it wasn't showing up. So we had to check a bag anyway. So we printed our boarding passes. My wife got hers and then she handed me something that she thought was my boarding pass. Anyways,
I got all that on my phone, homie. Like, what are we doing?
She had it on her phone too, but it wasn't pulling mine up. And it will make sense as I get further in the story. Okay. Anyways, so the guy lets me through TSA without a boarding pass, apparently. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But I didn't think anything of it. So we're hauling, and I'm looking at Taylor's like, "This isn't my boarding pass. Like, the guy said it wasn't my boarding pass. This is just a receipt." She's like, "Well, I have one. Where's your boarding pass?" And she's like trying to sign to her phone. She's like, "Mine's here. I don't see yours." I'm like, "Do
Got
I need
Home
to do it?
Alone all
Whatever."
over again up in here, bro.
I know. So we get to our gate. She's like, "We'll just print one at the gate. We'll tell them you need one." I was like, "All right." So we get to the gate and we walk up to the desk and we're like, "Hey, I don't have a boarding pass. What do I do? Can you print one out?" So she's like, "Do you have your ID?" And so I handed her my ID and she goes, "Oh yeah, you're the one we're looking for." She's like, you're not getting on this flight unless someone gives up their seat." And I was like, "What?"
Oh,
And we're like,
bro.
she's like, "Yeah, no, like." So I knew this was a thing, but it's never happened to me. Did you know that they overbook flights?
Yeah.
Like
They put you
every
on
flight,
standby, didn't you?
right? But like they overbook flights with the assumption that people aren't going to make it. So
Yeah.
apparently everyone showed up for this flight, and
Mhm.
so we like hopped in line and kind of were like looking at people and they're like, "Oh, are you in line?" I was like, "Well, no, they just kicked me from this flight. I'm not on the flight." Kind of trying to get someone to be like, "Oh, do you need a seat?" No one did
Mm.
that. So I told Taylor there was a bunch of stuff to do for the party. I was like, "You just need to fly to Pennsylvania, have your parents pick you up, and we'll figure it out from there." So they ended up, I said, "You need to reroute me to Syracuse so my parents can pick me up." So they put me on
Mhm.
standby for an 11 o'clock flight and then confirmed a flight for me at 2:30. So I go to the gate for the standby and didn't get that one because they were kicking people off that flight too. I'm like, what
Yeah.
is going on? I was like, it can't be the holiday. I've flown for bigger holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas. Never had
Yeah.
this happen. So, anyways, long story
Mm.
short, I ended up sitting in the airport for a good like 5, 6 hours waiting for my flight, and then
Wow.
finally got to Syracuse, and my parents picked me up. But dude, I
Was it
was just
direct still, or did you have to, like, connect somewhere?
no, it was thankfully still direct to Syracuse,
Oh,
so it was
that's
just
good.
one flight I got there, but I
That's
was like, "Bro,
crazy.
there is no way this is happening right now." And I was just like, and they're not supposed to break up families, dog. I was
Yeah,
like,
that's another thing, they try to keep them together. But yeah,
it
standby is no joke, like, there's no guarantee you're gonna get on that flight if you're
no.
on standby. Thankfully, the only time I was ever on standby was, like, it was before COVID, so, like, before flying was an absolute nightmare, and I was
Right.
actually able to get on the flight, thankfully, like, it was
Oh,
pretty like, I was,
nice.
like, 6'1" on standby, and we all got on, it was great, but,
Mhm.
yeah, definitely not the vibe, that's not how you wanna be
Wasn't it?
flying around, that's for sure.
No, no, absolutely
But
not, but
that's an
thankfully I
insane
got
story.
there.
Dude, you're lucky that you got, like, same day and just a few hours and stuff because you could
I
have been
know.
stuck there, like, a whole day or having to drive back or drive up or whatever, so
I was thinking that. I was like, "Dude, if I don't get on a flight, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to just hop in the car and drive the 12 hours home." And
yeah,
I was like, "I don't really wanna do that." But
that's
anyways, yeah,
wild. But
thankfully I got there
party
and it was all good.
party was good and everything? How's all
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, party was
Solid.
great, had fun.
Man.
Owen devoured his little cake, loved it. So
I
everything
couldn't tell
other
if that was a cake or if it was just 2 massive donuts stacked on top of each
it
other,
had a
like the
donut
little, like
consistency. Yeah,
okay,
but it actually
I
tasted
saw that.
really good. I tried some of it.
Nice.
It was really good. But
He
yeah,
he
party
looked like
went
he was in
well.
his element.
Seeing family went well. But you did a little something this past weekend too. I wanted to go to it, but obviously I wasn't here. But yeah, you can tell us a little bit about that. That was super cool what you did.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, we went up to Furman for a game this past weekend. I think it was Saturday night, I want to say, but the main event was Clint Dempsey's jersey retirement. For those of you who don't know, Clint Dempsey, he actually went to Furman, which I actually didn't know till I was probably in college or something. But since I've been in the Greenville area, I had no idea that he even went to Furman. So,
Hmm.
pretty small little school that he went to, and obviously it's pretty impressive that he got as far as he did. But yeah, super cool vibes there. The first 200 people into the stadium got a jersey. I thought it was going to be like a really cool like Furman jersey or like a USMNT retro or something like that. But it really just had Furman and the number 2 on the front, and then the Clint Dempsey retirement cam on the back. Still cool, but like whatever. So I got that, and then brought him out like 15 minutes before the game, and had a whole bunch of blah blah from the AD and the coach and all that stuff. I was kind of hoping that he would like because there were not that many people there, like maybe like
Mm.
3 or 400 on both sides. and I was
Mhm.
kind of hoping that he'd like mingle with the fans and just kind of like dap people up and like take pictures
Yeah.
and stuff. But he just kind of like he rolled out onto the field like from like the end zone, if you want to call it that, and then like didn't really say what's up to anybody. Then like said like there's a couple people there. He's like said what's up to. Then they kind of had his thing. He said some nice words, and then he kind of like
Mhm.
went back that way. So like he didn't quite. Mingle with the fans as much as you would have hoped for something like that, especially such a small venue. But
Right.
he was still super dope. Like just seeing him like super close quarters and all the stuff he had to say about Furman and the Greenville area and everything, it was super super cool. And like they kept reiterating like the greatest U.S. men's national team
That's
player
right.
like
That's
three
right.
and four times just to like say there is no doubt, which I
Right.
loved. But no, it was super cool. Like the vibes are super good. I hadn't been to a college like a D1 soccer game in a while, and just made me miss it a little bit. And the weather was perfect, nice little breeze, no sun,
Nice.
like it was a super good vibe. So it wasn't quite as much of an event as I was kind of expecting, I guess, but no, it was
Mhm.
still a super cool experience, and to see him and everything was super super dope. So it was a fun thing to go to for sure. So
That's awesome, dude. Yeah,
and they
definitely the
played
U.S.
Duke
men's
too.
national team.
Good team,
Yeah, I
really good
saw
team.
that. I saw
Yeah.
that, like, ranked number 7 in the country or something like that, like
Yeah, yeah, number
and they
7,
tied
dude.
them too. They tied them.
Yeah, we actually took the lead. Yeah, it was 1-0 and then ended up, I wanna say it was ended up 1-1. But yeah, dude, the Duke team is full of foreigners. I feel like that's kind
Oh,
of the vibe
really?
now with all the top 25 teams are, like, full of guys from, like, nowhere near, America, which is kinda funny. But,
Right.
there's a Serbian guy that was playing, center back for Duke. I was just like, "This guy is on a different level." Like, you could
Oh,
just
yeah.
tell the way he moved, the way he
Oh,
would,
yeah.
yeah, cover and stuff. He was, yeah. So it was a really good time. So I loved it.
D Yeah, Division I soccer, dude, it's fun to watch. Like, I'll catch a game
Yeah.
on TV every once in a while, and I'm just like, "Yeah, sure, it's not like, high-end professional, but it's still like, these dudes are good, like, really,
Yeah.
really good," and I'm just
And
like
there's not as much like it's still pretty high level, but it's not like professional where they're like knocking it around the back for a long time. Like it really feels like end to end stuff. Like even
Mhm,
if nothing is happening necessarily towards the goal, like there's always like attacking and movements and things like that. So yeah, it's really fun to watch. It keeps you engaged for sure. Like Joy brought one of her friends actually,
mhm.
and she was like super into the game too, and like
Oh, nice.
just kind of saying that it was really fun and everything. So it was a good time. So
Nice, dude. That's super dope. Yeah, Clint Dempsey, definitely a U.S. men's national
legend.
team goat. I'm pretty sure he's both of our goats. I think we've mentioned it
For
multiple
sure.
times. We definitely choose him over Landon Donovan.
It's
That's
not close.
super, super cool thing that you got to do. But anyways, like Sammy Boy said, we got a good full episode for you guys. Finally got some football, NFL football to talk about. Really, really good game to start us off last night. Then we're gonna hop into some college that we watched this past weekend, and then backtrack 2 weeks to some Premier League action. But without further ado, let's get it.
Alrighty, starting off the podcast, the beefy part of the podcast with a little NFL football. Obviously, we came to you guys last week with a NFL exclusive podcast, just kind of recapping I guess, previewing the divisions and everything, and what we thought was going to go down during the season. So just kind of ran that back a little bit after we had given our initial picks about a month or so ago. But we finally had the first game of the NFL season on this past Thursday
Let's
night.
go.
Um, Philadelphia against Dallas, in the link in Philadelphia. Obviously had their ring ceremony and their banner unveil and all that jazz for the Dirty Birds up there. But Dallas came to play.
Yeah,
Before I
they
get into
did.
my 2 cents about the Cowboys and what went down and everything, I guess I'll get your 2 cents, not just about the game, but a little bit of Spitgate here before the first snap was even snapped. Jalen Carter getting tossed from the game after seemingly
Dude.
spitting in Dak Prescott's face. What do you got to say about not just that situation, but I guess just give your 2 cents on the game as a whole, or at least the first half here?
Yeah, I mean, we finally made it, boys, and it did not disappoint. I mean, before a ball was even snapped, we had some controversy and drama just Dak and Jalen Carter going at it. Um, yeah, I was just kind of like watching it on my phone, and then like all of a sudden see flags tossed, and then all of a sudden the announcer's like, "Dude, he got ejected." I'm like, "Bro, what's happening?" And so like I turned it up really quick, and I was like, "Bro, this guy just got tossed before there was even a play snapped."
Mhm.
And I'm just like, "What an idiot, dude!" Like to get tossed before you
Yeah.
even play the first snap of the opening game against the Cowboys, no less. Like,
Yeah.
come on, bro, rivalry game. You
So
just gotta think.
idiotic. And you know every camera in the stadium is on Dak Prescott right there,
Every
right before the
camera,
game,
like,
like
highest paid player in NFL history. You think you're like, you think you're gonna get away with it, and, like, the ref was standing right there. There was no way the guy didn't realize that they were watching him.
right.
Obviously, after the fact, Dak kinda spurred it on. I'm not gonna
Yeah, what do
sit
we
here and
gotta say
pretend that
about
he
that?
didn't.
We think Dak is to blame here as well, or what?
I mean, it's smart on Dak. Like, I mean, he didn't get in trouble. And it's definitely one of those things. I don't think Dak was being disrespectful because I was thinking about it today. Like, it's like one of those things where, like, you're mouthing off and then you just like kind of like, spit to the side and
Yeah.
yeah, man, what you gonna do about it? And he, instead
Mhm.
of spitting to the side, I guess he did kind of spit towards him. But like, bro,
Yeah.
you can't spit on another human. That's just like,
Yeah.
that's against all rules in the rule
Yeah.
book. Like, I don't care
And
whether
that's
it's
just
football
like
or life.
yeah, exactly. If you take the football out of it, like, you don't spit on another man, period. Like, that's the
Exactly.
ultimate unless you wanna get clocked in the face, like, you're not
I
spitting at
know.
anybody, dude.
And
But
if it was any other quarterback other than Dak, there would have been hands going, bro. Like that's one
maybe.
thing. Like I was listening to Colin Cowherd today, and I think he got this right. Like if Dak was any other quarterback, you guys wouldn't be like nearly as good as you are because he's just a team guy, level headed. Always says the right thing, never too high,
Mhm.
never too low. Which this is one of my takes. I don't know if I'll give it right now or wait for you to kind of talk your Cowboys, but yeah, he's just one of those level-headed dudes. But if it was anybody, not just Dak, like another defensive lineman, a linebacker, like or offensive lineman or
Yeah,
whatever,
there'd
like
be
bro,
there'd be
the game wouldn't have
fireworks.
started for another 45 minutes because they would have been heated. It would have been so bad.
Yeah, yeah. No, when I first saw that, I think like a lot of people on the replay, it felt like I was like, okay, like what did he say? Like he must have said something
Right.
wild to get not to get thrown out of this game, before the first snap. But then seeing the replay, obviously
Yeah.
that makes sense. You can't spit on another man like that. But and then on the replays too, like or later when they found the Dak Prescott video, like
Mhm.
there's a lot of like, whatever he said, she said kind of thing. Dak says that he spits a lot, and if you watch a Cowboys game, he does spit a lot for a quarterback, which is kind of funny. But
Mhm.
like, let's say worst case that he was trying to instigate a little bit there. I feel like there's a huge chasm between like looking down and kind of spitting in his general direction several yards away and
Mhm.
spitting at someone when they're like face to face, like spitting
Absolutely.
directly on them. So I feel like it's not quite apples
Yeah.
to apples. Like all my Eagles fan friends are just like, "Oh well, Jack spit at him first." I'm like, bro, it's not quite apples to apples here, at least not in
No.
my opinion. Obviously, I'm a Dallas homer, but I think even from the outside looking in, like you can see that it's not exactly the same thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that was before a snap was even played in the game. So obviously a huge game changer right off the bat. Jalen Carter,
Yeah.
probably their best defensive player, at least on their D line for sure. Just a huge run stopper, getting after the quarterback and everything. Really the one of the main reasons that the Eagles won that Super Bowl and making Patrick Mahomes just kind of centralizing him and everything. But yeah, so he's gone before we even play a snap, and I think that really opened the game up for the Cowboys, especially in the run game. Like I had very little faith that we are going to be able to do anything in the run game, not just because of the Eagles front, but because our backfield isn't the greatest. Like we have Javonte Williams, who's solid, but definitely didn't think that he was going to roll off for 2 touchdowns there. So just being
Had
able to
himself a night.
yeah, just being able to establish the run early, and then that will also open up the passing game with obviously Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb we'll get to in a second, but pretty solid game overall. 7 receptions over 100 yards. Super, super solid stuff from him, which you'll usually will expect out of him, but wasn't all good, which, like I said, we'll get into in a second. But first half, it was really just punches being thrown on both sides. Eagles going down and scoring, and we're getting points on all three of our drives in the first half as well. So how did you see that first half? Um, After just a lot of haymakers being thrown back and forth there.
Yeah, kinda like what you just said, like, it was just back and forth, like, really it was just a good football game to watch, like, someone like me, a neutral that doesn't really have a horse in the race, just ready to watch some NFL football. It was, like, the perfect game other than I know we'll touch on it, but the lightning, delay that they had kinda slowed things down. I ended up falling asleep, so I didn't watch the end of the game, unfortunately. But yeah, that first half, it really looked like anybody's game. Um but yeah, Javonte Williams just kind of was able to run. I wouldn't say wild, like his yards weren't super high, but he was definitely he was doing well in those like short yardages like situations, like picking up first downs, moving the chains. Definitely in the red zone had two tutties on the night. So I think it
I
was
mean, he
just
was hitting the right holes and he was running
oh
physical
yeah,
and picking up 5, 6 yards a carry, which is, I mean, if you'll take that every single time. So,
yeah.
yeah, he's not going to be Saquon Barkley or anything like that, but he did more than enough to be able to open up the offense for us for sure.
Yeah, I think Dallas just came ready too. Like this is kind of the take I was talking about
For
earlier
sure, dude.
before was I think dude, like Daxon is like villain era or
A
something,
little
man,
bit.
cuz he like there were just so many shots of him just like, dropping F-bombs and just being like,
He's
"Let's go,
focused,
guys.
dude.
Let's go." And like on the field, he also there was just some close-ups where he just looked super focused and then obviously he was getting into it with Jalen Carter before even starting the game and like again like we're talking kind of instigated the whole thing but just like I don't know man he's just kind of in this like I'm putting the
Well,
team on my back and I'm gonna play my heart out and leave it all on the field which not saying he hasn't done that but I just feel like there's a little extra juice this year for Dak and I think it's a good thing for you guys obviously.
no, I totally agree, and a lot they were mentioning it on the broadcast as well. Like he went through some regiment this summer where he got super lean. Like you saw
Yeah.
the videos of him before the game. He just looked super shredded and everything. He lost weight in his face. He's gone through. He had like a couple of screws put in or something like that, and you could like there was a couple times where he got out of the pocket and was evading fools. I was like, he could not do that last year. So like
Mm-mm.
he is like moving good. He's limber. He can move around a little bit now, which he wasn't able to do quite as much as maybe he was doing early in his career. So just seeing a reinvigorated Dak, and I couldn't agree more too about like just that there was a fire in his eyes, dude. Like the confidence that he was
Yeah.
playing with, slinging the pill around. Like there was just like several throws where I was like, dude, we weren't doing that like really the last 2 years. And I think it's not just
No.
him being super confident and just wanting to get one for the city and everything, but like I also think it's a huge just a huge nod to the coaching too. Like Schottenheimer coming in obviously and getting full
Yeah.
reins and everything. New offensive coordinator getting in there and being able to work a little bit more. It's not Mike McCarthy's offense anymore where it's a pretty conservative. You don't really risk it until you really have to. And like obviously going into this game, we had really nothing to lose as far as we're concerned. Like Eagles are coming in defending champs and everything. We just lost Micah Parsons. Like, what do we have to lose, kind of thing. So I love that we look super aggressive from the beginning, even though the defense there's still obviously very much a hole left by Micah Parsons. Like we did pretty well rushing the quarterback, but like most of the time when we would get close to him, we couldn't quite finish. And you could tell we just needed like that athlete that Micah Parsons was to like really just get in there and finish the job kind of deal. So we were sorely missing that. Also think there was a scheme issue with like Hurts would like gash us, like especially in the first half, even though
Hmm.
we did pretty well overall. Like there was just huge runs, and like I was like, why aren't we putting a spy on him like almost every play now? Like why are we letting him just run wild? Because like as good as Hurts is, like he's still kind of like a tuck it and run kind of guy. If his first read isn't there, maybe his second read, and he's gotten a lot better obviously than his first couple years in the league. But like he still runs a ton, and like the gaps were absolutely there for him. But yeah, so that first half was super super solid. I was honestly shocked. I was like, um, I literally told Joy we were watching together because she's kind of an Eagles fan or whatever because she's from that area.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I was like, I cannot believe we're in this right now. I thought we were going to be down like 21-7 at half or something like that. So the fact that it was, what was it, 20? Was it 24-20? They didn't score at all in the second half. No,
I think something like that,
either
yeah.
way, we were super close. We were in it, at halftime and everything, and that gave us a
Yeah.
lot of momentum going into that second half. But I guess we'll kind of switch it over to the Eagles side of it in the first half here. What do you think? Obviously, Jalen Hurts touched on it a little bit there, but AJ Brown not getting any targets at all in the first half. His only target of the whole entire day was on their very last drive for like 8 yards or whatever. So kind of a non-factor there. Devontae Smith wasn't really getting open like you'd expect. Saquon Barkley was kind of imposing his will, but definitely not the high-powered Eagles offense, I guess, that we're kind of been used to seeing these last couple years.
Yeah, and a lot of people were saying that the whole AJ Brown thing's going to be kind of a problem. I feel like the media is trying to make it a problem. Like, I don't know. I think you guys came in with a game plan and you're like, we're not getting beat over the top and
Mhm.
we're stopping Barkley. I mean, he only had 60 yards in the night. Um he only carried the ball 18 times. So like, I mean, that's a heavy workload, but it's only 60 yards for a running back of his
We
caliber.
were
Like,
closing it, bro. Like we were.
yeah.
I mean, there was several times where he'd just get stopped at the line of scrimmage. So.
Yeah, I feel like where you were missing Parsons was on the Jalen Hurts runs. Like,
Mhm.
I think I think that was the thing that you guys kind of gave up and Jalen kind of torched you guys. And that was kind of the difference in the game, other than CD having that big time drop at the end of the game. But I feel like you guys did really well stopping the run from the running backs. Like,
Mhm.
obviously Jalen got his, but also over the top, I feel like Devontae Adams wasn't open. Not Devontae Adams. Is it Devontae Adams? No, Devontae Smith. Sorry,
No,
Devon
Devontae Smith.
De-
Yeah.
Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. Like, I just feel like it was more your defense. I really
Yeah.
believe that you
And
guys played super well.
everybody was just kind of like, "Oh, AJ Brown, like he didn't get any targets. Like, what's going on, or whatever." And it's because kind of shows you also like how little people want to give credit to the Cowboys, but it's also because
Right.
Trayvon Diggs was kind of locking him down the whole game.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you didn't see much of Trayvon because like just the ball wasn't coming his way because he was shutting them down. So like, that was obviously a really, really solid aspect of it as well. I think another aspect of why we were able to shut down the run was Kenny Clark, the guy that we got in
Yeah.
the Parsons trade.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's a Pro Bowl level D tackle there, and like even though we might be hurting a little bit on the outside, even though we have some young prospects that might be up and comers here, in the next couple of years, like we at least have that Pro Bowl level guy that we've always needed on the inside and be able to stuff some of those runs. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, very just really positive news overall as far as I'm concerned with the Cowboys. Obviously, in the second half as well, it went a little bit stagnant after the half on really both teams' defenses kind of rising up finally and just kind of
Yeah, that'll
mellowing
happen.
out the game a little bit there. The lightning strike came at a really bad time for the Cowboys. If that would have happened one play earlier, that would have been great because that was right after the fumble that we had and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a funny story that I'll touch on really quick. Miles Sanders, so the backup running back that we have for the Cowboys, he obviously ripped off that big run of 50 yards or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
we had our drafts Tuesday for our youth group, the huge 20-man league that I'm in or whatever. And there's a couple guys asking me questions about Cowboys and everything. It's like, oh, should I draft Miles Sanders? I was like, absolutely not. He's almost got cut.
Yeah.
He's out of shape, not good, whatever. And after that 50-yard run, I was like, man, I hope they're not watching this game right now. They're probably whatever. But then next play, fumbles. So I was like a little bit vindicated with that.
Yeah.
So I was confused of why did we even hand it off to them. Like, obviously, I know Javante can't get all the carries, but I was like, dude, we got something good running with him. Like, why are we
Feed the
giving it
hot
to
hand, man.
Sanders? But and he couldn't pull away from that freaking linebacker that tracked him down. I was like,
Yeah,
come
right.
on, bro. Like, you're a running back. What are we doing here?
What are we
But
doing, man?
yeah, so
Yeah.
that obviously came at a bad time, and then the hour-long delay didn't really
No.
help us either. But and we just couldn't get that last. But we were in it, like we were in it right at the end there, like driving a couple times there with the chance if we got a touchdown to take the lead there late. So I'm taking huge positives, bro. Like obviously I knew our offense was going to be still pretty good, even before, everything went down with Micah, but I had serious questions about our defense and everything. I know it's the first game, and I know the Eagles weren't at full strength and everything, but
Mhm.
I'm super hopeful for what we can put together. Like, not every quarterback's not gonna be able to run like Jalen Hurts does, and I think that we're able to
Yeah.
get enough pressure, we'll be able to survive. And
Mhm.
some of those young studs that we got coming up, and we've been drafting edges for like 2 or 3 years now. We can get some of
Right.
those guys in there and get experience and just clean up some of those tackles. There were several times where we had them, like either for a sack or Saquon for a loss, and we just just one juke and they'd get out. But no, I'm super hopeful for this Cowboy squad, and like not just that, but exactly what you were just talking about. Like just the fire that I saw from everybody, especially Dak,
Yeah.
especially like CD. He knows that those 4 drops are on him, which we didn't even talk about yet. I guess I'll throw that over to you here in just a second. But like he knows what those were on him. There's already videos of him training like crazy after the game because he knows that was on him. Like just the fire that the defense was able to show, and just coming out with just that extra motivation and stuff is stuff that I think that we didn't even have the last couple of years with McCarthy. So I'm super super excited for that, not just from a talent point of view, but also from that. There's a little bit of extra, for lack of a better word, just fire with this Cowboy squad, which I haven't seen in a while. So I'm excited for that. But I guess I'll just throw it over to you, just kind of to touch on those drops that CD had too. There's a couple big ones. There's a slant that was pretty easy, and then that seam pass
Mhm.
down the middle was just right in the bread. That was a killer, dude. We would have been like inside the 30 or 25-30 yard line there,
Yeah.
chance to take the lead. But that's one you expect CD to reel in.
Yeah, definitely. You could probably just chalk it up to first game, just knocking the rust off. I mean, granted, it is in the second half, and it's like, dude, you've been catching balls all game, like, and then you drop those ones. Obviously, I would bet on him not doing that again. Just pick the opening night to have probably his worst game that he'll have the entire season. So,
Yeah,
not too worried
that's
about
not
it.
going to happen again, probably.
Right.
So
He's way too good. He's obviously. What would you say? Top 2 wide receiver in the league right now, like, Jamar
yeah.
Chase than him maybe, like,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
can make a
Justin
case for
Jefferson's
that.
still out there. Yeah, you can make a
That's
case. Yeah,
true.
top
I mean,
3, top
he's for
3.
sure he's for sure top 3, top 4, definitely. So that's definitely not gonna happen again. It was just unfortunate, and like you said, you were in that game, and I know, wins and losses are what you measure, but, like, if you were gonna take a moral victory out of this game, out of any game, this would be the one. Like, you took it to the champs who played a decent game, and you guys are right there to the end. But you can say the same about the Eagles. I guess that's a good way to kinda, like, wrap this
Mhm.
discussion up is like, obviously, first game of the season, teams aren't at full strength. You lose one of your best defensive players in the before the game even starts, basically, and
Yeah.
then so it just shows that they both have a ceiling, and that ceiling is pretty darn good. So
Mhm.
it'll be
And,
exciting to
like,
see both of them.
I don't mean to be that guy because it's not the reason that we lost, but there was a couple times where Jalen Hurts would spring those runs, and there
Hmm.
was obvious holding on left tackle. Like, my Lotta was he held, I know there's holding on every play you could call technically,
That
but when
Cowboys
you
fan is showing itself.
but when you can see it freaking live, dude, when the guy's
Yeah,
holding him, like,
yeah,
that's
right,
all I'm
right
saying.
in the
But I'm not
pads too.
again, I'm
It's
not
pretty
gonna
bad sometimes.
yeah, like the one where he like got out to the left side and there was just a huge hole. The guy's like
Yeah,
going like this and he can't, but whatever. Like I said, I'm not gonna make that a thing because it's not the reason we lost. And we kind of got the benefit on a couple calls, like the when Jake Ferguson got destroyed in the end zone. Like that's technically
yeah,
a penalty in today's day and age, but like I don't really love that. Like what's the safety really supposed to do there? And whatever. But
right,
yeah,
right, right.
there's
It is
just
what it
the
is.
holding, like there's just it's just so convoluted because, like I said, you can call holding really on every play, but it's just kind of what you wanna interpret. But yeah, solid stuff. So that's where I'll leave it.
Yes, sir. Uh, Dude, I'm so happy you didn't start. This is another side note, really quick before we get off of it. If you started Javante Williams, dude, I would have been buried in the first week of fantasy already,
I
dude.
know.
Like,
I know.
oh
We'll get to fantasy in a second, but the game that's
yeah,
going on right now, which I don't have a ton to report on, but it's Chiefs Chargers. Chargers up 9 with 4 minutes to go. Looks like they might be able to get that one done.
Does
Chiefs.
Herbert really have 300 yards already?
Yeah, dude.
Like
He's been slinging it for sure.
three
But
tutties? Holy cow!
speaking of
Justin
fantasies,
Herbert for MVP? Too early?
yeah, it's way too early for that. I pumped the brakes on that one. But biggest news since you mentioned it in fantasy, I didn't start watching this game till later on in the first, but I saw it pop up on my phone on my way back home that Xavier Worthy was out. And I was like, "Are you
Mm,
freaking kidding me?" And apparently he collided on like a mesh concept with Travis Kelsey. Yeah, he got decked. Like I saw the video, he got absolutely destroyed. But he was out, and that was like the first drive, 0 points. He was supposed to get me 17 to 18 points, 0 points from him. Didn't start Javonte Williams. So this is just fantasy football in its prime. I mean, we're not even 2 games into the season, and I'm already
nah.
just so upset at my team and like not starting who I need to. Granted, the Javante thing, I'll give myself grace because no, like 10% of people were starting Javante Williams. So, yeah, I'll
Right.
whatever. But just Xavier Worthy getting hurt on like the second play is just ridiculous.
Friendly
And just,
fire too, bro.
I know.
Like he
And from a
ran right
Chiefs
into
perspective,
Kelsey.
yeah, from a Chiefs perspective, they probably feel like they can't get a break as far as receivers are concerned. Like
I know.
Rashee Rice getting hurt last year and then obviously getting suspended. Now Xavier Worthy going down. Like just rough over there for the Chiefs, but
He's so
whatever.
small though. Like these
He's tiny.
speedsters, man, they're not durable at all.
Yeah.
Like they take
That's
one
probably
bad
why
hit.
he got out because like Kelsey's not a small man. So like you just run
No.
full speed into him. You're getting
No, absolutely
clobbered.
not. Absolutely not. Friggin'
But
Quentin Johnson with two touchdowns. We need those to go to Lad McConkey, bro.
yeah.
I
Oh
mean, he's
my
got
word.
74 yards, 66 receptions. Like, I,
Yeah.
I guess that's
Chiefs are
all right.
inside the 5 now. Hollywood Brown, huge reception. But
Did
anyways,
yeah.
wouldn't even be surprised if Chiefs somehow just win this, even though they're down 2 scores here. But whatever.
Just wait
But
for the
yeah,
flags.
yeah, right. But yeah, that's we can kind of recap the whole week, maybe next week of the NFL and everything. But the last thing we'll touch on as far as the NFL is concerned, pretty big ish news here, but Amari Cooper retiring randomly out of nowhere. He was kind of supposed to be new life, I guess you could say, for the Raiders this season. Just kind of beefing up that wide receiver room, obviously past his prime and everything, but just kind of being a part of a couple good pieces that they have over there. In our recap, or sorry, our preview, I don't know why I keep calling it a recap. We just talked about that division and how the Raiders like they could sneak a couple games here and there just with Genty and Geno Smith and the coaching staff they got, and they just got Amari Cooper, which was making people excited. But yeah, he just retired out of nowhere like
Out of
yesterday. So
nowhere.
angered some fantasy managers since we're talking about that, and yeah, just it's kind of confusing. He's probably just like, yeah, this ain't it. So I'm out, boys. But he does retire a Raider, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, maybe that was the plan all along. But I think I saw something on Instagram today where this is the second year in a row that like one of the Raiders wide receivers just like decides to retire after joining. And I was just like, dude, that's a tough break for the
That's a
Raiders.
tough franchise over there then,
Not that they were like really hurting for wide receivers. I mean, Amari Cooper was gonna end up being probably like maybe wide receiver 3, maybe.
Yeah,
So it definitely makes me having Jacoby Myers a little bit better, Someone's gotta fill those targets and now they can go to him. Even though he's in a
I
contract
guess.
thing right now, so we'll see how that goes, but makes me feel a little bit better about drafting him. I actually have him starting as my flex because I suck at fantasy, so that
Dude, in
is
the
what it is.
CSM thing, I took Quinshot Judkins from Cleveland, like late. It wasn't super early, but I thought for some reason that he was signed and all that was like taken care of. And apparently he's still unsigned for the I think it's the Browns. I
Really?
think it was the Browns. But I was like, dude, like, and this is a 20-man league where points are going to be scarce. So I just basically wasted one of my picks on that. But,
Right.
it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Freaking
Fantasy
fantasy,
be
bro.
fantasy. So,
It really
but
do.
yeah, that'll kind of do
Also
it.
oh, sorry. Sorry, didn't know you
Go
were
ahead.
closing stuff. I was just gonna say really quickly, and you know this frustration, dude. Trying to trade with people that don't look at their freaking phones is awful.
Oh, tell me about it.
And you'll probably laugh at this because I probably laughed at myself, but I was really just trying to like offload David Montgomery like out of my starting lineup.
Mhm.
I think I can't remember who I tried to trade for, but I was trying to trade with Nathan Topman, and I sent him like 3 texts, and he still hasn't looked at the stupid thing. I think it's like a straight up swap for someone on his bench. I was like, dude, I'm giving you David Montgomery for your bench, and just like give me this other dude, and just hasn't even looked at it.
Dude,
To be fair, I don't even
that
think for
league is the
myself when
most
I do fantasy.
frustrating league.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's bad. It's bad. But anyways, I'll let you close out the
Yeah,
segment. I
that
just
league
had
is
to
the
say
most
that.
frustrating league to be involved in because it's like 70% of the people in there don't look at their rosters. And
And
like
I'm
by
one of
week
them.
4, there's guys on IR, there's guys that are released, there's guys that are just it's just chaos. So it really just
It
becomes like
is.
a 4-man race at the end. It was like me, Micah, Pete, and Herbie because you
Mhm.
just give up halfway because you've lost too many games anyway. So
Facts.
yeah, we gotta spin this around, boys. Let's get a little bit more involved this
I'll
year.
try. I'll
So pay
try.
attention to our trades at least. But anyways, so yeah, that'll kind of do it for the NFL portion of the podcast. We always sprinkle a little fantasy in there just to air our
Always.
frustrations and everything. But yeah, super stoked that the NFL is back and everything. Glad my Cowboys have a little hope for this season. Eagles, we'll see what they look like going forward. But yeah, without further ado, we'll get into a little college football here in just a moment. So stay tuned for that. Alrighty, hopping into a little college football talk. Obviously, before the NFL season got underway this past Thursday, we had some spicy matchups in
Big
the college
time
football
games.
weekend here. So I love that the college football I guess NCAA schedulers or whatever are making this happen now. It used to be the first 3-4 weeks of college football. It was like, yeah, Oklahoma State versus the School for the Deaf and Blind and whatever. So,
For real.
I love that we're getting some of these marquee matchups. Obviously, it's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of the teams are more open to scheduling those games when like one game isn't going to knock you out of the playoff now. So without further ado, though, we'll get into some of the spicier games here. We'll start out with the first one that went down on a Saturday, the noon game, Texas, Ohio State. 1-2, the very first season opener that included a 1 and second place team here. So, did you get a chance to watch this game, Stallone? And what is your thoughts about it? Oh, Arch Manning not looking like a Manning there for a little while, wouldn't you say?
No, 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 no. The only good thing about getting stuck in the airport for 5 hours was I was actually able to watch this game. Grab myself some tacos at this little Mexican restaurant in
Of
the
course you
Charlotte.
did. Found the only Mexican place in the airport.
Absolutely.
Give me some tacos.
I was having a dreadful day, and I found myself some tacos and queso, and it made it a little bit better. So thank you very much. Sat down and watched this game right at my table, and it was kind of glorious for the 2 hours that I had to watch it, because I eventually had to get to my gate, and I finished it. Actually, I didn't get to finish the game because I boarded my plane before it ended, but I digress. Really, really awful game by Arch. I think I texted you right after the first throw that he had, where he literally threw it into the ground, had a wide open receiver on a crossing route, and just like chucked it in the ground. Granted, he was on the move, but like, dude, you're a mobile quarterback, or so they say. And some could say like you're playing in Ohio, like on the road. This is his first time starting away from Texas, apparently. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever the excuses, but there really aren't any excuses. You've been in this system long enough. You've been at the school long enough. You're a junior. You're a junior. You shouldn't. You can feel a little bit of nerves, but not that badly. But it looked rough, dude.
Yeah.
So rough. And I guess my biggest takeaway was their defense is really good, but Arch was just really bad, honestly.
Yeah, not the greatest look for Arch. Kind of a gritty game from the beginning. Obviously, the final score shows you that it's kind of just a defensive chess match at that point. 14-7 Ohio State. Just a really, really close matchup the whole time. And I do think that Arch Manning definitely didn't have his best stuff on display, but a lot of people were again, the typical overreaction from week one. It's like, oh, there's not even going to be a top 5 draft pick, and he needs to stay another year, which he probably should anyway, regardless if he's good or not. But I think a lot of it is a little bit of your overreaction for kind of the same reasons that you just mentioned there at the end. Is like, obviously he's gonna. Still think he's gonna be, a really good quarterback this year, but his first start away from Texas, again, his first other 2 starts are against, like, again, smaller time schools like UTSA or whatever from last year, and he's, you know whatever, however they're gonna play, they're gonna beat those teams anyway, but,
Mhm.
um, I mean, the test cannot get bigger. You're literally on the road, first game of the season against the defending champs, number 2 team in the entire country. Like, I mean, the stakes can't get any bigger for you to just be tossed into the fire like that. And like, even though he missed a few throws and a couple of things that he needs to correct, and like there's a couple easy throws where he like sidearmed it or whatever, like would just kind of just a move a rookie quarterback would make and things like that. I still think that
Mhm.
there's things to take out of it. His stat line doesn't look terrible. Like the interceptions on there, I understand that, but he's just over 50% from a completion percentage. He did throw a touchdown in there. Like he wasn't getting around and scrambling like we're used to him seeing against some of these other teams. But again, that defense is top 5 in all of college football
Oh, yeah.
in Ohio State. So I'm not ready to just crush the guy like a lot of other people are right now. Again,
Yeah.
they only lost by 7 points. And they're going to be right in the thick of it as far as the playoff is concerned. And I think the big test is for Texas is like, obviously they've got a stacked SEC. They've got obviously
Mhm.
Oklahoma, Florida. They'll get Georgia, I think, later in the year. Texas A&M, all those teams are going to be ranked. They've got 3 cupcakes, I think, pretty soon here. I think Sam Houston,
Yeah.
UTEP is in there, so they've got definitely some things to get better on over the next 2 or 3 games. But
Mhm.
they've got a huge schedule coming up, so that'll be the real test. So I'm not ready to crush them quite yet, but
Oh, absolutely
big
not.
props to Ohio State and Julian Sayin. He looked pretty good coming out,
Look
even though
great.
again, like not a great offensive game by either team, but Ohio State has enough in the tank to get it over the line in a really just an entertaining game. I feel like so
Mhm.
many of those defensive battles are just kind of like boring or whatever, but it just you were on edge really the whole game. So I liked what they were putting on display. Even though Jeremiah Smith, their top wide receiver, he didn't have a crazy good game, but he was
3
kind of
drops.
locked down a little bit. Yeah, 3 drops. I think he only had like 4 or 5 receptions for like minimal yards, so he definitely wasn't doing the getting the big time plays that we're used to seeing out of him. But
Yeah.
whichever way this game was going to go, I don't think that either team really would have had much to worry about with it being the first game and you're playing the second
No,
ranked team in the
no.
country. So
Yeah, their defense was really good. Ohio State's defense was phenomenal, and it's probably gonna be the hardest defense that Arch sees all season, just with Matt Patricia being the
possibly.
defensive coordinator. He was just with the
Yeah,
the
he's won 3
maturity.
Super Bowls in the NFL. Like,
Yeah,
what are we
and I
talking
mean,
about
like,
here?
the maturity that Ohio State has on the defensive side allows him to do some NFL level stuff. So
Mhm.
it's like throwing Arch against like a mid-tier NFL defense in his first start as the starting QB in the first game of the season. So like it was really
Yeah,
all just stacked against him, to be completely honest. Like,
I
yeah,
see
maybe he
that.
should have done a little bit better, but like at the end of the day, he's still a young kid. Like, I mean, there's a lot of expectation on his shoulders at the moment, and so
And Sark
I think
Sark said that after the game too, is like
yeah.
when he was asked about Arch Manning, he was said that, the expectations were way too high for his very first game this year anyway. So the fact that he did what he didn't necessarily surprise him, which I thought was good. So, and again,
Yeah.
it's not like he threw 4 interceptions and looked awful, like he was just completely surpassed him and everything. Like, didn't have a great game, but like,
Mhm.
whatever, you come back.
Yeah.
Um, who doesn't have a bad game here and there? And for him to do that
Right.
his first time out I think it's forgivable as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So,
And like you
um,
said, it's the way not NFL, the way the college football playoffs go now, like, you can drop 1 or 2 games, especially against this
Mhm.
kinda competition, like, you can't drop, like, a game against UTEP or something like that, that'll hurt you, but, like, losing to the number they're actually the number 3 team in the country at that time,
Okay.
losing to Ohio State, like, in the first game of the season, like, that doesn't hurt your stock
Yeah.
at all, like, it's a playoff team.
Non-conference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
non-con, you're both a playoff team, like, these are these 2 teams will be in the playoff for sure, like, I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. On the contrary, for Ohio State, we just talked about Texas's stacked schedule. Ohio State really doesn't have a team that's going to be really testing them probably until they play Penn State later in November. So from here on out, it'll be expected wins for Ohio State. I think
Mhm.
Illinois is in there right now, a little bit higher ranked.
Oh,
I'm not
wow.
sure if they play them this year or not. I'll have to look that up. But that Penn State Ohio State game is going to be pretty spicy because I think Penn State scooted up to that second position. I'm pretty sure in the rankings. So
I think so,
and
yeah.
then they'll have their yearly game against Michigan. We'll see what Michigan is like after that Oklahoma game this coming Saturday. But that's always fireworks, even if Michigan's bad like they were last year and still getting the dub over them. So, yeah, overall, just a really, really solid game, defensive minded and everything. But yeah, still a great game, and I'm excited to watch, especially Texas in those spicy games in the SEC a little bit later on this year. But
Yes, sir.
um, another game that we'll move on to was supposed to be a pretty comfortable win for one of these sides, but didn't end up being that way. Alabama dropping to FSU 31-17. Really didn't end up being close there towards the end. 2 possessions, like 31-17 doesn't look all that close in my opinion. And FSU came to
No.
play. Obviously, Bama going to FSU, so they got the crowd rocking over there and Doak Campbell and everything. So, yeah, Alabama, are they losing a little bit of their luster? They're hurting without Saban here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of people were calling for Kalen DeBoer's job like right after this first game. And
Yeah,
I
dude.
mean, Alabama's one of those places that like, I mean, that's the expectation, man. Like
Mhm.
Saban has put that program in a place where, if you're not winning consistently and you're dropping games that you shouldn't, like getting blown out by, and I get it's Florida State, but like after the year they had last year,
Yeah.
obviously like no one expected, basically totally reloaded in the portal. You should not be dropping this game this badly to an
Yeah.
FSU team when I mean you're still Alabama, you're still getting those 5 stars, like you're not hurting for talent. And I think the biggest thing, and you put me on this podcast, this guy, Josh Pate's podcast, really, really, really good. But just he was talking about the lack of effort that he obviously didn't see from Alabama. Just like
Yeah.
that's just one thing you should always
Wouldn't
have
happen with
consistently.
Saban.
Would no, absolutely not. Would not happen with Saban. So, I mean, they got to turn some things around. I'm sure they'll figure some things out. They're not going to be as bad as they were in this game, but still, like Florida State came to play, and even though Saban's not there, dude, Alabama's just like it's one of those programs that always has a target on their back, and people bring their A game. And so, if Alabama's going to take the day off, this is the kind of stuff that can happen.
Yeah, yeah, and I think before I get into some of the analysis, if you want to call it that I'll get into, I think with Alabama too, like I remember this when the Warriors, obviously they were dominating teams when they had KD and everything, and everybody kind of felt like that was an unfair squad or whatever. So that 1 year in between where KD had left, like Steph was hurt, Clay was hurt, like everybody wanted like their piece of meat against the Warriors. So like if they could run up the score against the
Right.
Warriors that year, they were going to do that for sure because they just felt like just that team was stacked. They were mad at them. They're too good. They could never beat him, whatever. So they're trying to get their pound of flesh. I think
Hmm.
people are going to do this with Alabama. Like every team now, especially because they're maybe not quite the Alabama of old. Like they're gonna want to be Alabama. They're gonna want to give them their A game, which like obviously they got that before with Saban, but now it feels like there's like maybe a chance where they might not be quite at their best. And like,
Hmm.
if they're not, then they're definitely beatable. And we saw that with like the level of effort that some of those guys on the clips that were coming out about guys just kind of slacking off a little bit, not looking completely you know, ready to play or whatever, like that stuff would never happen or Saban, like you were saying. And I think if you got dogs on the other side, like this Tommy Castellanos kid, like he said back in the spring, I think it was that he was asked specifically about the Alabama game that they had
Mm-hmm.
first on their schedule. And he was like, oh, well, they don't have Saban to save them anymore, which was like wild take coming from a FSU team that only won 2 or 3 games last year. You know, he's going to come in,
Yeah.
transfer, and he's talking all this talk on an FSU team that, you know, might be good now, but they had zero expectation for. So for him to say that against Bama, that was a wild take. And obviously the performance that he had, only threw the ball 14 times in the game, but ran
Mm-hmm.
it for 17 times for, you know, 80 yards and a tud. So he came to play. So again, when you got dogs like that on the other side, like the rest of the team's going to follow that, and you know they're going to really similar team to the Vandy squad that beat him last year. That you got a dog in Diego Pavia, like the boys are going to rally. You know, they get up, you know, 7-0, you know, get a couple tuds on them early. Like that belief's
Mm-hmm.
gonna resonate throughout the locker room, and before you know it, Alabama's losing games they really shouldn't lose. And I think, you know, Kalen DeBoer, like it's always hard to come after you know, the guy that was there for 2 decades, never lost a
Yeah.
game kind of vibe. So it's always going to be hard. But like these games like this, man, when like you should be beating them, you see guys loafing around, not really showing effort. Like that's the kind of stuff that, you know, you can stomach, I guess, the fact that maybe you miss a playoff here and there. Like, you know, you lose a couple games this season, but those fans are going to get fed up with the lack of effort and losing games you shouldn't real quick. So he's got to get it corrected over there before completely loses sight of all that. Because those culture guys,
Absolutely.
man, like even the players that would, you know, hold that culture up and everything. Like there's so few guys that are there now that'll do that, and basically all the guys from Saban's era are gone now, which is, and I like graduated NFL, like transfer portal, NIL, all that stuff. So,
Right.
yeah, we'll see where Bama goes from here. They got a couple winnable games coming up after that, but again, stacked schedule in the SEC where they're going to be going up against ranked teams week in and week out. So, yeah, Alabama. As much as I love to see it, they might be not quite the Bama of old. A lot of people thought they shouldn't have been ranked this week, but they just barely squeak in there. I think at 22 or 23 or something like
Oh,
that.
did they
So
really?
lowest they've had since I think 2004 or 5, something in there. Obviously since
I
Saban's
believe
been
it.
there,
I believe it.
and DeBoer's already
Saban had him a
lost.
wagon.
Exactly. They've already lost more games under DeBoer, or like the same amount of games to unranked
I did
teams
see that.
that Saban lost in his like 20 some odd tenure there,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah, that's not
wild, dog.
that's not good. That is not good.
Yeah. So
Oh,
FSU might be good though.
they might, yeah. And this win only like it, like either way, it's a win, obviously. But either way, like morally, it's a good win for FSU because later in the
Mm.
season, if this was just a fluke for Alabama and they end up being really good, dude, like if we were talking basketball, that could end up turning into like a quad one win type deal, you know?
Yeah.
Like if we were talking basketball, I know they don't quite do that in football, but kind of that same situation where like the committee will look at this and be like, I mean, they beat an Alabama team that, you know, is going to be in the playoffs, and I mean,
Yeah.
that means FSU's the real deal. Like if they're like 10-0 after like week 10 and like, oh shoot, FSU came to play this year.
Yeah, it's just so wild seeing Alabama at 0-1. That's so funny. And to their credit, to
It's
FSU
funny.
immediately got ranked like 14th, so huge jump for them after
Yeah.
week 1. So we'll see if they're able to sustain that. But
Mhm.
I think it's good for the sport when FSU is good, creating a little bit more parity in that ACC that's so often dominated by Clemson, which is a great segue into the nightcap of college football last Saturday. LSU, number 9 ranked coming into this game against a Clemson squad that was ranked number 4. So obviously people are very high on both of these teams coming in. I was able to watch most of this game actually, just because it was the nightcap, 2 top 10 ranked teams. And ESPN really gave them like the full like broadcast stuff, like with the Hill beforehand and like the
Mhm.
F-22s going up. I just think that's super cool stuff there. But what'd you see in this game overall? Obviously, a pretty tight encounter here. This was obviously your national championship pick in Clemson before the season started. You feel like doubling down there, or you got a little bit of doubt going into the rest of the season now with Clemson? And what do you think about LSU?
I think they planted like a small seed of doubt in my mind, just a little bit, just a little bit. I think we'll get better play out of Klubnik. He did not have a good game,
Oh, you did not.
and Dabo let him know after. I saw some of the comments that he had, and he was just like, he's not a freshman, dude. He's got to make those plays. They're simple
Yeah,
plays. You just got to do better. I think their defense, if they're going to go far, that's going to be what they're going to go far with. They definitely kind of going back to the Texas game, like if you told Texas we're gonna hold Ohio State's offense to 14 points, you're like, dude, we win that 9 times out of 10. Sign me up for that. If
yeah,
you told Clemson we're gonna hold LSU to 17 points, they would have signed up for that. It's really just in those two games, the offenses just let them down. Like the defense did their part, and so I really believe in Clemson's defense. Really, 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 really impressed me. But I mean, at the end of the day, like the most important position in all of football is the quarterback. And I mean, Nussmeier had a really good game, 232 yards, 28 for 38. Like played really, really well. Obviously, outplayed Klubnik, which he only had 230, 19 for 38. So definitely was not up to snuff in this game. But I still would uh, kind of I will keep them as my national championship pick. But I mean, LSU looks really good this year, man. Like going into Clemson and coming out with a win, that that
huge.
that goes far for their season for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, that stadium was rocking. Night games in Clemson are definitely something special. But yeah, I give a lot of credit to LSU. A lot of people have them as their preseason. Not just getting to playoff, but winning the national championship in their own right. They've also got a veteran quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier, and
Hmm.
just several pieces coming back from last year. Obviously, their defense is top five in the country. Um, just building off what they had last year. Their defense was kind of known for being pretty good, but like just crumbling in big moments, which ended up costing them games. So the fact that they're able to shore a lot of that stuff up, I think, was big in this game. And yeah, I agree with what you're saying about Clemson too. Like I think I texted you halfway through. I think when maybe it was tied or Clemson was up 10-3 or whatever. I was like, I don't even
Hmm.
care if they lose this game, but like your pick is looking pretty good just because Clemson's defense is absolutely incredible. Like the
Yeah.
stuff that they were doing, just flying around, like quick to the ball, shutting down the run game early and everything. Like they just had a super, super solid game and shutting down an LSU offense really for most of the game until the second half. Given that offense really a big opportunity to get ahead, but they couldn't do anything on offense. They could not run the ball. They've got super weird. They have that receiver from last year. I remember made a couple plays in the playoff. Like they switched him to running back now, which is a little bit of a weird thing. So they weren't
Really.
able to really establish the run early. And I know that they lost what's his name, Antonio Williams, like super early in the first half. Like that's their main receiver, their go-to receiver. That Klubnik likes a lot. So that hurt them quite a bit early on as well. But yeah, this was kind of supposed to be Cade Klubnik's year to like really just take that next step. He was a Heisman candidate early on in the season and everything. So
Hmm.
kind of it's just right there for him to take as far as this team and as far as his performance and everything. But again, man, like the untimely interception is just shades of last year. And
Yeah.
I was kind of talking about that, in the previews and everything. That's just like if he can get over those, they're going to be a really good squad. But if you can't, like, the defense can stop them every time. But if they can't score, they're going to be in trouble. Obviously, they benefit from playing in the ACC. That's a little bit easier of a conference, obviously, than the stacked SEC that we're talking about. But there's teams in there that aren't slouches. Like the Georgia Tech team that I talked about, that's scrappy. Like SMU is going to
Yeah.
be in their playoff team from last year. Florida State, like they might be good again out of nowhere. So
Right.
there's teams that aren't going to mess around. Syracuse now, like I know they're not, where you want them to be, but like they've got a great coach over there, great culture. I think they're a couple years away from really being a team maybe to make some noise in the ACC because I love their coach, dude. Like they're getting some good recruits over there that are
Yeah.
able to do something. So
I'm worried we're gonna
um,
lose them. I
maybe, but he seems like he wants to build a program from the ground up.
I sure
Like
hope
maybe he
so.
gets and with all this NIL stuff going around, like maybe he makes that an attractive place to go. But it's got to be a big program that's going to come knocking, I think, for him to, because he seems like he's a loyal to soil kind of guy, like first team that really gave him a shot kind of thing. But I don't know a lot
Yeah.
about him, but just all the stuff I've been hearing about him is all great stuff. But if you can keep that guy around, he'll be able to build something there, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we were in that game against Tennessee. Like it was really the first quarter that hurt us. We gave up 17 points in the first, and then we kind of matched them blow for blow the rest of the way. But we just got down by 17 in that first quarter, and really just couldn't come back from that. Obviously, so really wanted to go to this game. I saw some of my friends went to this game. Brandon and his family was there. It was in Atlanta. That would have been really fun. But yeah,
Nice.
definitely got to root on the Cuse. I think they'll have a good season in the ACC because again, like the best team is Clemson, and then from there, like I mean, like you're saying, maybe FSU. Who
Yeah.
knows what UNC is gonna be after Belichick rips into them after this past weekend? That
Dude,
was that
what a
was abysmal. I
disappointment.
know it's not on the dock, but like I mean, that was rough, dude. I watched that on the way. Like I had it on when we were driving back from Charlotte when we got back home, and I was just
Mhm.
like, dude, this is bad, like really bad.
First
I think
Belichick-led team to give up 48.
yeah, I think they're gonna start their backup QB because he came in after their starting QB took a shot, and he came from a mid major. I don't even he came out of nowhere. Like Belichick's just like, yeah, this is the guy. But their second string quarterback came in, dude. He was throwing the rock around. I was like, dude, there's no way he doesn't start next week, or I guess
Yeah.
yeah, this weekend.
Dude, Belichick's making it awfully hard on himself. Like seemingly every move that he's made since Brady has left the Patriots has made like the debate of like, was it Brady, was it Belichick, swing even more in favor of Brady, like with every move. And like if he fails with this UNC squad, I understand UNC is not like a blue chip program where like they're getting 5 stars year after year and they're like constantly knocking on the door. But they're not a bad program either. Like they're ranked pretty consistently and everything. But I mean, if you're getting blown out on your home turf by TCU, who like
Yeah,
granted TCU's not no slouch, but like they're not the TCU that went to the national championship a few years ago. And they're not,
right.
and you shouldn't, even if you lose, you shouldn't be giving up 48 freaking points. So
Yeah, it was ugly. That it was ugly.
it's
I
ugly.
mean,
It's a good way to put
it
it.
it's looking more and more like it was Brady this whole time. Are we saying
Yeah.
something nice about the Patriots right now? Peter,
Just about Tom
w
Brady.
that's true, that's true. He was a Patriot, but
Yeah,
anyways, I
yeah.
digress.
Yes. Well, yeah, that'll kind of do it for the college football portion of the podcast. Obviously, some really spicy games this past weekend. The sucky part about that is though that all the teams that had really really good games last week are scheduling cupcakes now. So we'll see. What kind of good games that we have come out. I think Oklahoma, Michigan is this weekend, which will be pretty
Nice.
good. My Oklahoma State Cowboys are going to number 6 Oregon to get our teeth kicked in there. So we'll see what we're able to do there. But yeah, like I said, that'll kind of do it for the college football portion of the podcast. We'll get into a little football here in just a moment. Hopping over the pond as we usually do for a little football recap. We are in the midst of another international break here. So obviously we had 2 games to start the season and we're already at an international break. So some World Cup qualifiers going down. I'm pretty sure most of the countries that are from the main confederations are kind of already known who's gotten in, except for Europe. So it creates a little bit of a spicy thing going on over there. Canada just had a friendly game against Romania, just beat us
Oh,
two to
really?
zero, so that's always a good sign. Uh,
Dang.
but yeah, so but we do have some of the games to recap from this past weekend. None bigger than Arsenal against Liverpool, 1 versus 2 from last year. Um, two of the biggest teams in world football, really, not just English football, going head to head here. Really just a gridlock of a game here, really just back and forth, end to end stuff for the most part. But Liverpool leaving it really, really late of a Dominic Szoboszlai free kick, which was an absolutely incredible free kick.
Beauty.
Yeah, just the knuckle he was able to put on that. Kind of a centrally located free kick there. So the fact that he was able to get that up and over the wall and to the left was pretty impressive from them for sure. But like I said, pretty even game for the most part. We definitely had our chances, but ultimately weren't able to take them. I did like how we we're able to kind of just mess with our front line a little bit. Obviously, Saka's still out. Madueke looks incredible in his first 2 games. I really liked how he looked.
Yeah.
Martinelli, man, I've been a not hater, but just a doubter of him for quite a while, and I feel like he's kind of done. Like we gotta figure something else out. I think Madueke needs to go over to that left side. Maybe even with Eze on the left
Mm,
side and with Madueke on the right with Saka being out. Like they figured Martinelli out. Like he just dribbles so much with his head down. He just doesn't do anything
yeah.
different anymore. He's just not a contributor like he used to be, unfortunately. But yeah, obviously that came back to hurt us. Max Dowman, the 15-year-old, getting a little bit of playing time here late on, which I actually disagreed with at the time because we were chasing a result, trying to get a goal, get back into the game, and we sub in a 15-year-old, which it's cool and all when you're up 4-0 and you can go in there, dribble a little bit, and get some shots off and everything. But like, let's put in an experienced guy like Trossard or Wanieri, who's gonna got a little bit of experience and able to push the ball up the field. But yeah, I'm not sure if you saw too much of this match. Obviously, is the kind of the premier game of the entire weekend as far as not just English football, but really the world football in Europe as that goes. But were you impressed with Liverpool here? Obviously, a championship DNA that we like to talk about. Really coming through here and grinding out a 1-0 result, even though it was a little bit late.
Yeah, I mean, great game. I watched some of the highlights. I didn't get to watch the whole game. Pretty even. I feel like both teams played really well. Both had their chances, but then it just really came from that beauty of a free kick, dude. I watched that on Instagram like so many times. Like,
Yeah,
it was such
it
a
was
such
nice.
great such great technique and just getting it over the wall from that distance and then getting it
Mm,
down and still having a little bit of bend on it, dude. Was that's just why we love soccer, dude. It's just so
right.
it's beautiful to watch when you see someone with that caliber of skill be able to pull something like that off. And you'd
Yeah.
think it'd happen
Obviously,
more often, but it doesn't.
yeah. Obviously, he's a midfielder too, but he actually started this game at right back, so it's kind of a
Hmm.
funny little deal there. But yeah,
Well, they
sorry, I
moved them
interrupted you there,
into didn't they move him into midfield because their new signing Verts, dude. Some people are calling him like an
bro.
overpaid Harvey Elliott. Like
He
he
has
has
not looked
not panned
great.
out.
No,
No.
not at all. And like a lot of people are stamping him obviously with the the generational talent kind of label there, and he's not been living up to it as far as the first few games of his Liverpool career. Obviously there's a long way to go and it's early days and everything. There's always a little bit of a learning curve, but yeah, just kind of like basic things that are kind of going by the wayside as far as his game is concerned. And it took Gyökeres a couple games to get in there, but he's scoring goals now and everything. So I think he'll figure it out, especially that Liverpool team that's so talented. Like it'll take a lot for him to completely fall flat. But yeah, we have seen that before though, so it can't be ruled out. But yeah, not great showings from him so far. So and those compounded this weekend. We talked about international. They got beat. Germany got beat by Slovakia 2-0. I'm not sure if you
I
saw that
saw that.
result, but yeah, not a great run for him recently.
Yeah, no. Some people are saying because like he's not fast enough to outrun anybody, he's not physical enough to body anybody, and like what he does have is like technical skill, but they're saying like it doesn't make up for the fact that it's not quite good enough to make up for the fact that he's smaller and slower than you know most of the midfielders in the Premier League. And I mean that's just the test. Like moving to the Premier League, like you really have to just like believe that you're going to do well. And I'm not saying he's not going to. Obviously, it's early days in the Premier League, but it's not looking great right off the bat for him. So it'll be
Yeah, and
interesting to see if he turns it around.
yeah, and unfortunately, that's just what the Prem is now. It's more of, you're either physical or you're fast. Where like 10, 15 years ago, like there was plenty of spots for more of a technical guy like that
Hmm.
maybe didn't have both of those, but he was super technical, like a Paul Scholes or something like that, where you can definitely be a contributor, but it's definitely gone more to the direction of physicality and speed more than it is the technical gifted players, which is why you see, some of the leagues like the Bundesliga or Serie A be somewhere where guys that don't necessarily fit that criteria are able to thrive. So grass isn't always greener, but I guess we'll see in a little bit more of a sample size that's a little bit larger than just 2 or 3 games. But moving it on over to a Man City team. The only reason I bring them up is just because they have a little bit of transfer news that we'll talk about them a little bit, but they also lost to Brighton this last weekend. So talk about
Uh,
kind of what we're talking about in college football, beating teams you should be beating. Man City should be beating Brighton, bro. So I was taking the lead with Holland in the 34th minute, James Milner getting one back and on with a penalty in the 70th, and then leaving it late on the 89th minute. Brighton just grabbing all 3 points right here at the death. And Man City, man, they looked shaky at the beginning of last season, able to put something together towards the end of it and squeak into the Champions League and everything and be okay. But again, just starting really, really, really slow here and just not being able to put good results together. And I really didn't expect this 2 years in a row where they start slow, especially with Pep and all them boys. So, what do you got to
right.
say about them dropping, not just dropping points, but losing here to Brighton?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like modern football catching up to Pep's tactics. I feel like
Mm.
people just can't play the way that he wants them to play. Like everything's so robotic. It's like he really wants them to build out of the back, but like just I just you have to have the right players to do that. And they've gotten rid of those players. Like De Bruyne's out. Uh Gundogan's, is he still with them? I
Yeah, I
haven't.
think he's on the bench. I know he came back to them,
And
but yeah,
granted,
he's
granted,
still
they're all
there.
getting they're all getting older, so obviously you have to move on. But like the younger players that they're bringing in, like Doku's not very good. Like he's great, like one on one on the wing, but like in Pep's system, it doesn't really work. Like I just feel like, and Pep's not gonna change. He's like to the point where like he'll just retire if it ends up not working. Like he'll just move on. So yeah, it's not looking great for them. Like it's kind of like one of
Yeah,
those things too, where it's just like it's like the parity in the Prem is what we're looking for, and this definitely creates it when one of your top teams is not doing very well, when they're dropping games to Brighton, who'd they lose to last week too. Like they were dropping, their
Man
competition
City.
hasn't been very stiff.
Yeah, they lost to Tottenham 2-0 in the first. I want to say the first
Right.
game,
Yeah, that's
or
give or
first or
take.
second game, and then they lost to Brighton. So I think
Yeah,
those are the only games that they've really had so far. But
yeah. Been tough for them for sure, but I'm sure they'll turn it around.
yeah, as much as I love to see a struggling Man City as an Arsenal fan, it's definitely just interesting to see kind of how their team has developed over the last couple of years. Obviously, they needed to bring new guys in just because the run that they were having with those core group of guys was kind of coming to an end, as far as Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva obviously is still there, but just that
Mhm.
core group with Stones and Ruben Diaz. I do think that their back line is still okay, but one of the really interesting things that I saw, I don't remember, it was in a clip or an article that I read, but um, I think a lot of the struggles that Man City are having is because in their transfer um, philosophy now. It used to be just whatever Pep wanted, obviously unlimited funds over there, whatever. But now they're trying, it's almost like they're buying players to keep them away from rivals. You
Right.
saw that in several different moves. It felt like this past summer, specifically with Reinders. Obviously, he had a lot of suitors. They bought him for big money. Marmouche, which I always thought that was a weird signing. Like he was good at Frankfurt, but like didn't feel like he was at Man City level for sure.
No,
And
definitely
then
not.
some of the juniors that they were bringing up, like Oscar Bob, okay player, but like he shouldn't be starting at right wing for Man City. Like,
Mhm.
and like you said, Doku, he's got flashes, nothing really crazy. Rico Lewis, again, he doesn't impress me.
Dude,
Um,
Rico Lewis, like he he was like the next best thing, and now it's like, dude can't even stay on the field playing right back. Like he was one that gonna be like the
yeah,
next De Bruyne in the midfield, and now it's like, all
yeah,
right, I
and
guess we'll move him to right back. But he I think he gave up a goal because he cut inside and left a winger wide open. Like, dude, what are you doing?
yeah. And again, they bought Ait Nouri with a left back from Wolverhampton, which it's
Mm-hmm.
like okay, like what he good player, but like why is Man City buying them? Again, a guy that had a lot of suitors, could kind of slot in, kind of a Swiss Army knife of a guy on the back line, had a lot of teams interested in him, but it just
Mm-hmm.
seemingly like they're buying them just so that Man United or Arsenal or Liverpool or whoever else don't get them. And I think that's
Right.
obviously a super flawed transfer system. And I definitely think that that's kind of, one of the reasons that they're struggling. Like they already Manuel Akanji just announced that he was leaving to Inter just because he felt like there's a logjam at center back, with guys maybe that aren't even better than him, but there's just too many guys there now. They
Mm-hmm.
have that the guy from Kazakhstan or something, Kushanov or something like that. They've got
Mm-hmm.
him starting over Ruben Diaz now, which is kind of crazy to me because Ruben Diaz, as many people are getting old in that Man City squad, like he's still 28 and in his prime, so you'd think that he'd still be starting. And the prime
Right.
example of kind of this whole philosophy we've been talking about is them buying Gigi Donnarumma right after they
Mm.
bought James Trafford, again, a guy that had a
Yeah.
lot of suitors coming from Burnley and everything. They bought him. Oh yeah, Man City probably we're going to bring him and he's going to start for us. Disaster first two games, especially the
Oh,
game against Brighton, where he was literally the reason for their. Uh, was it the second goal that they bagged there? We had a really bad mistake.
yeah, yeah.
So just really bad mistakes by him. Good goalkeeper, but again, a guy that had a lot of teams interested, and they just seemingly like they bought him with no real end goal. And then 2 weeks later, they buy Gigi Donnarumma from PSG. Like, well, again,
Mhm.
United super interested. They need a keeper more than anybody in the top six right now. So why
Yeah.
is Man City buying Gigi? I understand Trevor had a bad game, but like, are we really, you know, just a lot of things that don't make sense over there at Man City. I'll get your 2 cents on just their whole philosophy. And you think Pep's involved? You think it's more of a front office thing, or what do they got going on over there? It just doesn't really seem like everything is flowing like it usually is over there.
I feel like, I mean, Pep's always like come out and said like he's gonna be done after this season, then he signs like a contract extension and all that.
Yeah,
Uh I'm kind of questioning if Pep's like really in it, and like if he's not, then I could definitely see why the transfers would be looking the way they are, because if he's not if he's not kind of taking the reins and like showing them who he needs and what he wants, then yeah, they have all the money in the world, so like they don't really have a plan. They're just like, well, keep let's just avoid good players going to our rivals, and we don't really have a plan. And like you
yeah,
mentioned, that really shows itself, especially with their keeper situation, signing the young guy from Burnley and now picking up Donnarumma. Like that's just like overkill in my opinion, when it's like we don't need to do that. You definitely need a right back. Right now you're playing like Rico Lewis out there, and it's like not working
yeah,
out. John Stones is getting older. Uh Bernardo Silva is still good, but he's older. Like, get some youth that can really that's technical, and like we alluded to, can play how Pep wants. But yeah,
yeah.
it's just kind of scattergun, buy the best players right now, and really not have
Hmm.
a plan or a way to get them on the field. They just kind of want to fill their bench with world class players and leave them there. That's
Yeah.
what it seems like,
And this
anyways.
is, yeah, and this is kind of a big critique that, doubters, I guess, of Pep have had for really his whole career. It's like, obviously, generational. I keep saying generational. Obviously, he's an incredible coach, like one of the icons of the game. He's changed the game. We can have the debate whether it's for the good or for the bad, just in how football is played nowadays. But one of the things that you can always kind of throw up against him is like he has every single place he's gone, he's had tons of money. He's always been like he's been able to get every single player he wants and play exactly the way that he wants. Where he like he can't just be given a squad of players and be like, okay, you're gonna make them better, or like you're gonna
Right,
implement this,
right.
this, and this, and like this is gonna make the team go. And it's like it's obvious here where like the first season where he actually has to like not even develop really, but it's just like, okay, what can I get out of Omar Marmoush that we just bought for $80 million last year? What can I get out of this player or that player? Where it's like, no, like he has to have De Bruyne, a top five midi in the world. He has to have Rodri in his squad at all times. If he misses one game, absolutely catastrophic, and they start losing left and
Right.
right. Like
Yeah.
I so it's just that kind of frustration. I think that you know it I know he's won a Champions League with Man City eventually and everything, but he's just a rung below some of those guys that have done it in several different places, like a Mourinho who started at Porto and won the Champions League with them of all teams. And
Yeah.
like some of those guys, like Ancelotti winning at Milan and at Madrid, and like I know that he's been on a lot of good teams too, but like he was a freaking Everton and he had them in the European spots. So, there's just a lot of doubt as far as if Pep would be able to do that. But even when he's at Man City, when he doesn't have the best squad in the entire league, like he just really struggles against teams that he should be beaten anyway. So, yeah, that's kind of a bigger topic maybe for a different day, but definitely one that I think is, and we saw him last year when he was just crashing out all these games, like
Yeah.
all the scratches on his heads and all the
He
stress
was
he was
losing his
under and stuff.
mind.
Like he was losing it. So,
Oh, man.
man, I don't know what's going to happen this year, but a couple other big transfers that I want to touch on real quick. Really, really big one. Isak to Liverpool for a hundred
Huge.
and I want to say 35 million or something like
It was a
that.
lot. It was a lot of
Million
money.
million euros. So obviously a massive amount of money there. Yep, 130 million euros. So Liverpool spending almost 300 million here on a couple strikers. Obviously getting Etiki.
Dang.
I can't even pronounce his name. It's hard for me even.
Editike or something like that?
Etikite, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
90 million to 100 million on him from Frankfurt as well. So they've definitely splashed the cash as far as their striker room is concerned. But I'm a
Mhm.
little bit confused with that one too because like it's not really super common to have a two striker look. Like they're
Right.
obviously going to want to get them on the field together at some point, but the days of a two striker combination are kind of gone. But I guess they could try to revive that. Who knows what slot has ready for them? And then another kind of a big one that was for relatively big money is Nick Jackson going for the Chelsea boys over to Bayern. There was some
Finally.
question marks if this was going to go through just because Liam Delap went down in your last game. He might be
Yeah.
out for several weeks, but Nick Jackson ultimately getting his move to Bayern. I think initially on loan, but it could be up to 60 million eventually. So, what do you guys say
Yep.
about these couple transfers here for big, 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 big time money?
I'm happy to finally see Jackson go. Like he had that little bit of a stint last season where he was scoring consistently, and everyone's like, "Oh, maybe this is a striker we've been looking for." João Pedro's plenty of striker than we need, and Delap is like he was balling out as well, even in the Club World Cup. So good to see him
Yeah,
go. Hopefully, Delap comes back. I don't know what the injury is. I didn't look into that, but the Isak one, dude, that one's wild because like he was obviously forcing himself out of Newcastle, obviously
yeah,
wanted to go to Liverpool. And so I guess Liverpool was just like, I mean, if you want to come here, we'll spend the money and get you. Like, we'll definitely have
yeah.
you, but I'm gonna butcher the name as well, but Editike or whatever. Like he was
Eddie
kind of
Kite.
like
Yeah,
Edikite,
yeah, sure.
Edikite, something like that. Anyways, that guy, they signed him because Isak was off the table like weeks ago, and he was kind of like their backup plan, and he ends up performing out of his mind, like has a really good start to the season. And then obviously things keep falling out with Isak at Newcastle, and Liverpool end up spending the cash for him. So like
Yeah,
it's like one of those situations where like, he's definitely like a top 5 striker in the world right now. So like of course, like let's spend the money and get him. Like who wouldn't want to do that? But like
yeah,
your second option ended up working out, maybe save the money. So it is a little confusing to me. And like you said, they're obviously gonna want both of them on the field because they're both that talented. So it kind of throws things. I don't know. Maybe Slots wanted 2 strikers this whole time, but it seems like a little bit of overkill. But I guess if you're getting Isak, like that's the type of overkill you want, opposed to what Manchester City's doing with three starting goalkeepers, and just spending without a plan.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally agree that just everything you were kind of saying about that was basically what kind of I was thinking as well. But just the Isak, like just with the message that Newcastle gave after he left, you could tell how sour things were. Like they were very just like straight to the point. Like Isak has now agreed to join Liverpool for a significant fee. We appreciate his contribution to the club. Thank you. Or whatever.
Yep.
Like it was super like they
Yeah.
did not like each other by the end. And
No.
um like before he got transferred, people were like, is this a really guy you want on your team? Like, they spent all this money to bring him to Newcastle, treated him well and everything, and now that he wants out, like he's just kind of being a baby about it. But
Hmm.
yeah, obviously, like you said, like massive amount of money. Liverpool just kind of living in their own world up there, kind of splashing Man City money if we're really talking about it. But yeah, so we'll see how that Liverpool team is. I mean, Slot's definitely not going to have the excuse that they didn't give him what he wanted this year. So
No.
um,
No.
we'll see if they're able to repeat. But moving on to the last couple things here, wanted to touch on a massive upset in the
This is
league.
wild.
League Cup in England. This actually happened more than a week ago now, just because, like we said, we talked about the NFL exclusive and everything. Grimsby Town going up against the mighty Manchester United, a League Two team, which means they're in the fourth division of English football. So their overall market value of their entire team is 3.68 million euros, which is probably like half a month of Bruno Fernandez's salary.
Yeah.
So yeah, for context, let me just pull up Manchester United's um transfer or their value as a whole, I guess you could say. Give me 1 second here. It is so 3 million for Grimsby Town. They are $748 million
Oh my gosh.
for their or euros, I mean, for their overall squad value here. But this is why we love football, because
Yes, sir.
they actually squeaked out a dub, and I mean squeaked out a dub. They actually went up 2-0, which no one was even had that on the radar. And again, United is not like they weren't playing their juniors, their academy boys, whatever, to get experience. Like this was
They
basically,
needed a win. They needed a
yeah,
win.
like exactly. Like they saw their first couple games, they weren't great. Arsenal was okay, but they definitely needed something after their last couple games. And so they basically played a full strength squad. Like Cunha was in there, Seshko, Menu, Ugarte, Harry Maguire, Onana in goal. So they were going up against pretty much a full strength squad here. Like I said, bagging 2-0, 22nd minute, 30th minute, just punching him in the mouth and going into halftime down 2-0 to Grimsby Town, a fourth division side. It's just absolutely rock bottom for Manchester United as far as their fans are concerned. They're able to come back in the second half with a couple of solid goals. I will say, like everyone hates on Onana all the time, and for good reason, bro. He was making mistakes against this Grimsby squad, bro. Like coming out on crosses he
Yeah.
shouldn't, just making stupid
Yeah.
mistakes. But Harry Maguire, 89th minute, brings it back 2-2 to go to
Yes,
push it
sir.
to a penalty shootout here. Excuse me. And they go 12 12 kicks deep. So actually more than that, because there's a couple missed in there. So I think they go at least 13. So
Oh dang.
goalkeepers going and everything. Mateus Cunha misses the first one for them. Grimsby Town player who I'm not even going to say, Clark O'Dour, missed for them as well. So obviously it was tied up for the first five, and then it's sudden death, and then they were proceeded to go, it's 8 deep here, just score, and then Brian Mbuemo finally hits the crossbar, and Grimsby Town wins 12-11 on penalties. Absolutely incredible scenes. Everybody rushing onto the field. This is
As
just
they
kind of
should.
the scenes that we love to see. But like, there's upsets, man, and there's this upset, like the big
Yeah.
bad, like Manchester United. Obviously, they're not as good as they used to be, but just the
Still.
just the huge chasm of, of value of, not just money, but like quality of player and everything. For this to happen is just absolutely incredible. I thought it was funny. The goalkeeper after the game is like, "I'm actually a Manchester United fan, so I'm actually kind of upset
Yeah.
that that we beat them." So I was like, "What the heck's going on over there?" But just stuff you
Right.
love to see. So
Yeah, it's so funny. You were texting me because I didn't get to watch this game. It was like midweek and stuff like that. And
yeah,
we were just kind of texting back and forth about this game, and they ended up losing. And I was like, dude, Manchester United can just not catch a break, cannot catch a break at all. Like
yeah,
you said, they were starting their full strength squad, bro. And we
yeah.
both follow this dude on Instagram, but Matty FC, and it was just like just the content that he was pushing out after that was so funny because he was just like,
Right.
I think before the game he was also just like, dude, what a great tune-up game. We're gonna just totally mow over Grimsby. And I was like, I went back to that post after, and all the comments were just like just
Flaming him.
roasting him
Yeah.
endlessly. Not that he needs it, because like life as a Manchester United fan cannot be fun right now. Absolutely
Yeah.
cannot be
And
fun. So
And everybody's blaming the coach and everything, but, like, again, miss me with that, bro. Like, you should be able to show up without a coach and with your B-level players and roll
yeah,
over this
dude.
team. Like, there's a lot of speculation now that for whatever reason, again, I don't know why the guy's been there, like, not even a year yet, but that the players want him out, and they just kinda gave up on him and decided to put up a stinker. But if they were gonna do that, they probably would have lost in regular time because 'cause they're already down 2-0. But,
Yeah.
um yeah, I mean, you should be able to pull up with whoever, dude, managing. I should be able to manage that team to a win against Grimsby Town.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the plot thickens a little bit afterwards because apparently in the 70th minute, Grimsby Town subs in a guy that was ineligible. He wasn't supposed to play in this game because he accumulated too many yellow cards
Uh,
earlier in the season or whatever, which season just started. So what the heck, bro? But um, so they self-reported that, and in normal circumstances, usually that's a they get kicked out of the tournament, and the other team goes on. But since
mhm.
it was self-reported, I think they just slapped him with a pretty good fine, which like it wasn't that much. I think it was like 50K or something, but that was like over three quarters of the amount that they got for beating Manchester United and going on to the next round.
Uh,
So just chaos, man, with this game here. I do think that they get to go on to the next round and all is well, but you have the biggest dub in your tiny, and I mean tiny little club's history, and
yeah.
you almost fumble because you sub in a guy that's not even eligible. Like, what are we doing?
Oh my gosh. Someone
But
forgot to put that in the books. They missed that one.
crazy,
Oh, oh
crazy.
my word.
But yeah, Man U, that might be rock
Man, you.
bottom for them, unfortunately. But speaking of rock bottom and utter chaos, we're gonna come actually back over stateside, or at least on our continent. I'm not exactly sure. I think it was in Seattle actually where this game took place, but the not so elusive Inter Miami talk and Messi talk will never escape this podcast, apparently.
No.
Just every week, there's something else that we can talk about. We're really not trying to just like, oh, Inter Miami, oh, Messi, oh,
No.
MLS. It's just literally every week there's something. So
Yeah.
this past week, Leagues Cup action, Inter Miami in the final once again. Controversial circumstances, but we'll just skip over that because whatever. It's just controversial every time. Um, Orlando were heavily robbed. I think a lot of people would say out of a couple
Oh,
different
it's
things
so
that didn't go
bad.
their way. But whatever, we'll skip over that for time's sake at this point. But Seattle whooped up on their Miami pretty good in the game. I actually didn't see most of the game, but I definitely saw what happened afterwards. And utter
Mm-hmm.
chaos doesn't even begin to describe what went down. So Seattle win the game, they win the trophy, whatever. And then there's just a melee, a scrum, just so many people getting in. Luis
Uh-huh.
Suarez of all people spitting. We talked about spitting a lot this podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
Spitting in the face of a staffer of Seattle. So really classist there. Like this is the Dallas Cowboys game was fresh off of like, hey, we don't spit at people as men. Like that's the ultimate disrespectful thing you can do. So we got Luis
Right.
Suarez spitting at people. We got Sergio Busquets literally throwing a punch, like right on the chin of some academy dude at Seattle. We got Rodrigo De Paul just like throwing people around and wrestling and doing all this stuff. Messi's just around watching. He's just chilling. He's vibing. So he's not really as involved as some of these other old Barca boys. But Jordi Alba's in there throwing haymakers. The coach is in there for Seattle, like going up like head to head against Luis Suarez and everything. So that's kind of a little bit of the chaos that went down. Like I immediately texted you. I was like, "Did you see all this?" And I think you were like at your party or whatever, so you missed a lot of it. But I was like, I have never seen something like this crazy at this kind of level for just a post match, like just kind of a I don't even know what you could call it. Just there's sore losers at the end of the day. Like
Right.
you I don't know, you win a lot down there in Miami, but every time you lose, something like this happens. So,
I know.
what do you got
Sky's
to say
falling.
about Inter Miami and the old Barca boys just not being able to handle retirement too well, apparently?
Yeah, I mean, they things are not going smoothly at the old retirement home. I mean, they're just fighting everybody apparently. Like, yeah, you texted me and I didn't respond in the moment, but then I hopped on Instagram later and that's all I saw was just like
Ugly, dude.
Luis Suarez just like spitting on somebody, and I'm just like, okay, first we have the biting thing, but now it's like you're literally like garbage, dude. You're playing in the MLS, like in you can't even beat Seattle in the Leagues Cup.
You
Like what?
get
Like
gifted a spot there and from the semis.
get gifted a spot because like we were talking about this before too. Like
Oh,
Orlando got absolutely
hosed.
hosed, dude. There's so many clips of like Busquets just tripping guys and like tripping guys in the box, no penalties, and then Suarez
Dude,
takes
it
a
must
dive
be
in the
so nice
box.
to play for Miami just to know that you can do whatever the frick you want and nothing's gonna
Bro, it's
happen.
so annoying to watch. And I'm just like, this is why we hate the MLS because you get you get one superstar and like you get Messi, who's like debatably one of the GOATs, one of the greatest to ever play the game.
Right,
And he's on his retirement leg, walks around the pitch most of the time. And we just start acting up and we're just like, oh my gosh, they can't do any wrong. Miami this, Miami that. Let's stick them in the
right.
Club World Cup. And like it's
Yeah,
just so annoying. And then to just have them I don't know if it's ego or just stupidity, but like we're gonna fight
yeah,
after the League's Cup because we can't take a loss. Like, what are we
yeah.
doing? What are we
Yeah,
doing, boys?
I've been trying to find, like, just any kind of reasoning where, like, why guys of the stature of Luis Suarez and Jordi Alba and Messi and all those guys, and even DePaul now, like, he was starting at Atletico less than a year ago, like, why
Yeah.
these guys feel the need to come over here and do this, like, every game now, and, like, maybe not so much for DePaul, but, like, I guess maybe it's, like, I feel this now just even as a 26-year-old, I'm supposed to be in my prime, but, like, just looking back at, like, college and high school days and, like, things I used to be able to do, like, on an athletic field, and, like, I guess that's the biggest thing that I can think about is just, like,
Right.
they're not able to do everything that they used to be able to do, so it's just that frustration coming out, but at the same time, like, how are you not okay with the career that you have already? So it's just, like, I don't even know if that's the reason or if they I don't know, they feel like maybe deep down, like I've mentioned this before, like they don't feel like it's necessarily legitimate, like the Leagues Cup you just talked about, kind of getting
Mhm.
gifted that, so they just feel like there's an extra like they have to win kind of thing or what's going
Yeah.
on. But it baffles me, it really does. Like Luis Suarez, like you've won everything that you can win. Like just stop. And Messi even more so. Like you've got a World Cup, you're a legend, you're you know, one of the greatest two players that have ever played the game. So it's just like, what are
Mhm.
we doing? So yeah, it's just it's just a soap opera. It really is. It's
It
just
is.
what's gonna happen with Miami next, bro? Like, but I do think that Suarez is gonna get handed a pretty hefty suspension. They were talking about it today. I think they're talking like six
Better.
to eight games or something like that, which is probably lenient for what he was doing, but even Busquets, bro,
Absolutely.
like you never see Busquets doing something like that. Like, what is he doing? Throwing a literal punch, like
Yeah.
right on the jaw, bro, of this like Seattle ACAD kid. Like, it's wild to me. So it's just yeah, like I said, it's just wild stuff. So yeah, Miami just making the news whether it's good or bad, and it's just like to just take a loss, like
Just take the loss, man. I mean, Miami's good at
there's
Miami, the MLS is good at MLS. It's just at
there's
the
really
end of the
just not
day,
much you can say about it, but
There's no defending it. There's no defending
Yeah.
it. Like you said, Luis Suarez will get off with a slap on the wrist. I bet you, another off pod. We were betting cookout meals because that's what we do because we don't gamble. But dude, I'd bet you another cookout meal that Luis Suarez's his suspension will be shorter than Jalen Carter's.
Yeah, it's
Because there's
possible.
talk about him getting suspended. We didn't really talk about that, but definitely
Yeah.
have to. That it's just you don't spit on another human. That's just like plain and simple. It's
Yeah.
like the one of the lowest signs of disrespect that you can give someone. So
Right.
just
Yeah.
not good. But
Yeah,
with
we'll
that
see
being
what kind
said,
of Miami news we talk about next week.
yeah, I know Messi's gonna spit on someone next week or something.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
will
know.
say,
It's
like,
just
Miami, Messi was like, it was funny actually. There's huge scrum, and then just Messi just with his hand on his hip, just watching the whole thing go down.
yeah, he's like
But he wasn't
just
really that involved.
his
But
messy fashion, just staring at everything.
yeah,
Some
the
screws
same
not.
way he looks when he has to play defense. He just watches the
Yeah,
whole thing.
exactly,
But
exactly. Just blank stare.
yeah,
Like,
he
what are we doing? What are we doing?
yeah he had his fill of other controversial stuff. I was seeing clips from the other one where he's just like he gets the ball taken from him, obvious foul on him, and then like the other guy tries to go at him like a little shoulder to shoulder. He's like immediately calling for a yellow card. I'm like, bro.
Oh
And
no!
referee obliges, of course, the immediate yellow over the other guy.
Oh my word!
It's just you can't make it out. But
But
anyways,
anyways,
yeah,
we digress. I think my camera's
we
about to die, so
digress.
I think that's a. Oh, I think my camera died.
I think it did too. You're frozen, so it's all
I'm
good.
frozen. Can I change my camera quick? I cannot change it, so you guys won't catch
It's
the. Oh,
fine.
I'm back.
We're on our way out anyway. So oh, there you're back. So you're good.
All right. Anyways, device is struggling. I just got the notification, so I think that's a pod.
That is a pod.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys could check us out on all our platforms. I'm losing my video again. All right, let's get out of here. Check us out on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe, follow, rate, do all the things there. That would really help us out. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. All right. Peace.
Peace.